Right.
Okay. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. We're here in Mandalay Hall at Meherzad, August 3rd, Wednesday, monsoon season. This is the 11th tape where Meherwan Jessawala has been remembering his life with Baba and Baba's very multifarious activities. And last week, where we stopped, we had gotten up as far as 1957, the summer months, where Baba moved into Ganeshkind, right, which is Dadi's residence.
That's right.
So today, resuming from that point.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned earlier, that due to the Rani's brother Jai Singh Ghorpade, his intransigence, as it were, in demanding to stay at the vacant room of the Rani while Baba was occupying Guru Prasad, and that was violating Baba's topmost condition, that when he occupied a place, none should disturb him. So Baba allowed him to stay for the night, but instead of confronting him with the conditions laid down and agreed to by the Rani, and instead of any such confrontation, Baba just immediately asked that they should move from there. And fortunately, of course, Dadi had recently got transferred to a place in Pune called Ganeshkind Gardens. It was a botanical garden maintained by the government, and he had a nice little cottage there to himself. So Baba expressed a wish to go and occupy that, and so Baba shifted there during the day and just vacated Guru Prasad. So, of course, the Rani came to know about what happened, and she was most upset. And she then, I think, sent a letter of apology on behalf of her brother, and Baba, and pleaded to Baba to come back. But then Baba sent word that she should not worry, that he was all right where he was right now, and next time when he came, he would surely occupy Guru Prasad again. But the condition must be that none should disturb him. And it was a lesson which Rani was given even before she had seen Baba physically, and a lesson she learned so well that after that no such incident ever occurred. In fact, later on, when the Rani happened to pass by, you see, she had her ancestral home in the south of Maharashtra, somewhere in Kolhapur or Satara. So she would fairly often visit these places from Baroda. So she was given in marriage to the Raja of Baroda, but she was from South Maharashtra. Her home was there. So she would want to go and visit her home off and on. So she would pass by Pune. So once one of these visits, she happened to be in Pune, passing by, and she wanted to leave some message with the manager of Guru Prasad, who Guru Prasad was her private property in Pune, not belonging to the state, the Baroda state. So then she was standing out on the gate, outside the gate, and the gate, mind you, was about a couple of 100 feet away from the main house. It had a long drive-in, huge estate, So even she herself wouldn't enter Guru Prasad. Such was the lesson that she had learned. And Erach was working on the veranda and doing some correspondence as usual. And he just would glance by sometimes outside, and he happened to notice someone standing out there in the distance outside the gate. Didn't pay much attention. Some time later he looked up, and sure enough that figure was still there. So he got curious, and then he went out, and he looked and he saw a very well-dressed, elegant lady standing out. And he asked her, "Yes, you waiting for somebody here?" So she says, "No, I am the Rani of Baroda." And Erach said, "Oh, Jai Baba," and all that. Why are you standing out there?" "Oh," she said, "No, I wanted to convey some little message to my manager inside. But then why didn't you come in?" So she said, "No, I dare not enter. It's Baba's instructions and I will not come in. But could you give just some message?" she wanted to give. So he says, "No, I'll send for him." And so she remained standing out, wouldn't come in. So in the meantime, Baba, of course...
Here she is a queen, you know.
Yeah, her own property, mind.
Her own property.
Yeah, she hadn't seen Baba till then. And such was the way she obeyed Baba. Yeah, and then Erach, of course, sent the man out, and in the meantime, Baba came to know about this. And I think Baba asked Erach to call her inside. Baba was sitting in the hall and gave her darshan and all that. Yeah. So this was how she used to follow Baba's instructions, yes.
How extraordinary for someone brought up as she must have been brought up to have the humility.
Yeah. Not only that, but later on when she would come and Baba would be on the veranda or something, and in full view of her own servants and all the staff and all of us, she would just prostrate herself before Baba.
Wow.
Yeah, unhesitating, yes. Her love and faith for Baba was immense. So then Baba, as I said, went to Ganesh Kind, and it was a very enjoyable stay there, because at Ganesh Kind it was a nice quiet place, about 5 or 6 miles, I think by directions I would say that was to the west, I think. Yeah, to the western outskirts of Pune city. Yeah,
towards Bombay.
Yes, going towards Bombay. That's right. So, and it was right on the river bank. This garden. Yeah, and it was a sort of experimental station also. Botanical experiments would be conducted by the government. So people would have sort of restricted entry, although it was a public garden before. So they were allowed to enter on certain days. But where the staff stayed, it was out of bounds for public. So it was nice and private and quiet. And there would be these pathways leading into the vast gardens.
You know, there are some films of Baba taking walks, I think from later years than this, with Nariman and Francis and Erach and various others. Have you seen those films? Was
yeah,
there?
I think I'm in one of those shots also. That was Empress Gardens, I think.
Oh,
yeah. That was another garden, equally big and equally scenic and beautiful. But it was, I think, towards the southern outskirts. It was just behind the Pune race course, and also a very scenic place.
Yeah.
So nice and quiet with very tall ancient trees.
Yeah. Right.
It's still there. So that was known as Empress Gardens. And this was Botanical Gardens. So, yes, Baba was there in the cottage, and he spent the summer there. That was the first time I remember Bhikubai Panarkar, who was the proprietor of Milan Photo Studios. Later, very famous in Baba community for his wonderful Baba pictures and photos that he took. So first time he came to see Baba there, and then Baba allowed him to take pictures of him. And there's a very wonderful series of photos that he has taken at Ganeshkin. Baba's had the easy chair put out in the garden, and he's taken some beautiful shots of Baba out in the open as well as in the house.
Was Baba able to walk by this time?
I think he had started using the crutches and all that. Yes, he was walking. After going from the Silver Oaks, Baba, when he came to Meherazad, I think Dr. Kenmore expressed a wish to see Baba, to treat Baba, because he was a very good chiropractor. And so he came to Meherazad and started his treatment of Baba, giving him chiropractic treatment in this hall itself. That was the first time this hall saw first signs of renovation. It was a stable before that, as I mentioned to you. Yes, it wasn't being used much.
So for all those years, this was
This was not habited by Baba, as it were. So to have a nice, good place, then there were not farshi tiles or Shabbat stones. It was all mud flooring. And Kenmore was a bit peeved because he would stumble and all that. So he says, you want Baba to walk on this uneven surface. Baba hadn't started walking yet. So I think that about that time the flooring was also done. And some semblance of habitation came into this place here.
So we have Harry Kenmore to thank not only for the flooring, but for the very opening of Mandalay Hall in the first place.
That's true. He had his work table here, and he would make Baba lie down and do all the adjustments. And there was a stationary cycle which he would make Baba do the exercise for his feet and all. And so he was working on Baba very wholeheartedly and sincerely. And eventually he was the one who first detected that Baba's accident foot, the foot involved in the accident, that is the right foot, was slightly shorter than the left. So then he got special chappals made for Baba with a higher heel on one side. So in Pune there was a very devoted Baba lover who was a cobbler, and he made a special chappal for Baba, very light, of cork to raise the height.
Cork inserted in the sole.
In the sole. So despite the height, the chappals were very light. And Baba liked them very much.
They were comfortable for Baba.
And that helped him to walk without much pain, because otherwise Baba would limp very badly because of the height difference.
So it was this year, 1957, that Harry first began to come?
I think, 57. That's right.
After returning from Pune to here.
56 was the accident,
So it's after that,
57, wait a minute, I'm also confused now.
Could be after that, 58 even.
56 was the accident, 57 Baba came to Ganesh India.
Right.
So after that, yeah.
Right. But Baba said,
Or probably after leaving the Silver Oaks, Kenmore might have come here. I don't know when he started coming.
Yeah.
I'm fuzzy about the dates now.
Yeah.
But soon after that he started coming and treating Baba. Yeah. He would stay for a month, 2 months. He closed down his flourishing practice in New York. Just leave it into the hands of one of his chiropractor friends to run his thing there, and he would be just treating Baba here. Yeah. So then he made Baba start to walk, bear weight and all that. So once in the local papers also there was an announcement about modern Namdev. Because in Maharashtra, Namdev was a very famous saint. He was, he as a child there is a story about Namdev, the saint. He was a small child, and his parents were very devoted to Pandurang, the Vithoba at Pandharpur. So,
which is Krishna.
Yeah,
Vithoba.
Yeah, one of his names. And his father was, I think, the priest attending to the temple. And the mother would send the food with the child to be given to his father there, to be offered to the Lord, and then brought back, and then the family would have their food, So one day the father had some work and had to go out of town. So the mother sends this child, Namdev, says, you go and offer the food to the Lord and come. So he goes there and then he puts the food before the Lord and then says, come on Lord, you start eating this. There's no response. He sits there for some time. He says, come on now, it's getting late. Aren't you going to eat? I have to take this back, whatever remains. So there was no response, and then he's pleading with the Lord, I'll be beaten at home if you don't do this. They'll think I haven't offered you the food. So much innocence and faith the child had. So eventually he gets very annoyed and says, I'll beat you if you don't start eating. So he goes in search of a stick, And in the meantime, the Lord, as it is said, comes, the statue of the Lord comes to life and starts to eat the food. And Namdev comes and says, now you come around properly. Finish the food quickly. So the Lord eats up the food, and then whatever remains he just packs it up and brings it back home. And when the mother sees this, he says, Namdev, is this the way you offer to the Lord? I didn't ask you to eat the food. This is very bad on your part. So Namdev is flabbergasted to hear this. And she says, but mother, I had great difficulty to persuade the Lord to eat the food. So she says, come on now, stop all this nonsense. Say the truth, if you have eaten, you must have felt hungry. He says, no mother, this is what happened. Mother wouldn't believe it. In the meantime, the father came. They tried to beat the little child to say the truth, for telling a lie and all that. And he insisted. Then he said, all right, tomorrow I'll do it again and you can see it. So the father says, is that so? Come on, I'll come with you tomorrow. And then the child again goes with the food and offers Naived and wants the Lord to come and eat. But he wouldn't come out because his father was observing the thing. And then Namdev starts to weep and wail and says, if you don't do this, then my reputation is at stake. The child is telling the Lord, you must come and eat, whatever happens. So for the little child's love and faith, the Lord comes back. He reveals himself, and his father gets the Lord's darshan because of the child. So the legend was that a stone statue of the Lord, because of the faith of Namdev, was brought to life. So similarly, the modern Namdev, that is Kenmore, with all his faith, has made Baba to walk again, which all the doctors have said he wouldn't do.
That was in the newspapers?
Yeah, it came in the local papers sometime later.
He must have been pleased by that.
We don't know that. I don't remember, but there was a definite article in the papers. Yeah, so that was Kenmore. Kenmore had tremendous faith in Baba, yeah. Some of the stories he would tell of himself were amazing, because later on, Dadi, my cousin, wanted to go for higher studies to America, and he went there with Baba's permission. And Kenmore was of great help to him there. Kenmore was like a father figure to Dadi, and he would tell Dadi about his experiences, how he was blind and people took advantage of it, and despite that he had tremendous willpower and a very forceful character. So he never allowed self-pity to get the better of him, and on the contrary, he wanted people to treat him like a normal person. So he went to great lengths to prove that he was as good as a normal person. So despite his failing vision, he passed his medical studies and became a full-fledged chiropractor and started doing his practice. And he said that during those days, in the early days, when he became totally blind, that was a progressive blindness. And he tells Dadi that one day he was in this tall building, and some person had carelessly left the lift door open. And he just walked in there. The lift was not not on that floor, and it was about 10 or 12 stories height. So he fell into the shaft, and he was totally blind, and somehow he could get hold of the cables, but he fell down to the bottom, or I don't know, the lift was up or something, but he caught hold of some cable, but he slipped down nevertheless, and he was totally lacerated from top to bottom, bleeding heavily, and he fell with a thump on the ground. He says, so luckily I wasn't dead. And somehow he was able to come out of the shaft, and he was so angry with himself. Some other person would have broken down by the shock and the misery of the whole situation. Not with Kenmore. He said, I was totally annoyed by myself for the utterly careless act that I did that day. So angry I was that in the bleeding condition I started to climb back, and went right up all those floors where I fell down, and got the lift there and came back down the lift just to assert myself. So such was his willpower, yes.
I mean, it's astonishing that he didn't have at least some broken bones.
Yeah, but he was very badly lacerated. Yeah. So we would describe all these things.
What a character.
Yeah, very, very strong character. And only such characters get attracted to Baba somehow. Strong personalities. He was very forthright and very brusque and very rude also in his speech, because of long abuse that people had done with his handicap, So he had become very quick-tempered and very brusque in his manners. But with Baba, he was so gentle and totally different, yes.
Yeah, I heard that in his practice, he was so sensitive with his hands.
Yeah, his fingers were really sensitive.
Yeah. Did you ever have dealings with Harry yourself?
Yeah. He would come to Bindra house very often, because at Guru Prasad also he would come sometimes, and then Baba would send him to Bindra house, and Naja would give him a good feed, and he was a voracious eater. Naja would prepare for him kidneys and liver and all that in a very special way, and he would just gobble them all. He was a very fast eater and a very voracious eater. And a very strong man, physically also very strong. Yeah, tremendous strength he had in those hands. Yeah. So that was Harry, and he would say, Naja, you're the God's cook and I'm going to kidnap you. This is the best liver and kidneys I've ever had in my life. I've been to the world's best restaurants, but nothing to compare with this. He would start saying, and he had a loud voice. So that was Kenmore. Yes, so Baba was at Ganeshkin for some time.
Did you see Baba there? Would you be called there?
Yeah, we would be there. I remember there would be no fans or anything. It was the hot season. So Baba would call me or sometimes Sorab Rustam in turns to fan him, Yeah. And that was the first time Baba would have him fanned. Otherwise he never liked the breeze. So even in Guru Prasad later, we noticed this, that when he would come into the Mandli hall, the side room, aside of the big Mandli hall, big hall in the middle, the Guru Prasad was such that it had a big main hall, a sort of drawing room and dining room combined. And there were about 3 rooms on either side, but 3 rooms of huge dimension. Yeah. Each room probably as big as this hall. Yeah. Not as long as this, but wider. So would accommodate more people than this hall would. Yeah. So and a very tall ceiling also. So despite the heat and dryness when Baba would come in the summer, in those rooms it would be a totally different atmosphere. Very cool and nice. Yeah. With artificial ceiling on top and then a roof higher up, so there would be an air cushion on top.
I see.
Very well planned and built. So
Baba must have been in a lot of suffering at that time. I mean, both the hot weather and the hip.
Yeah, the hip joint. The pain was a constant companion after the accident. Yeah. And although he walked, he would have severe pain in the hip. So Kenmore, when he would treat Baba, the pain would subside quite a bit.
Also, Kenmore really helped.
Yeah, he really had. And then Baba would be doing exercises at Guru Prasad also, We had one old, what do we call, a pram. You know what a pram is? This little four-wheeled thing for carrying children.
Right.
What are they called? Baby carts?
Baby carriage or
baby carriage.
Perambulator? Was that
Perambulator.
Yeah.
The short for that is pram.
Pram, right. Yeah, that's right.
So we got one second-hand pram from the market, removed all the things, just the frame and the four wheels and the long handle. And Baba would hold the handle and start to walk.
Oh, so they didn't have walkers in those days.
No, this would be better for Baba. Yeah. Because the movement was easier, you know.
You wouldn't have to lift.
We had this wide veranda in Guru Prasad of marble flooring, and so it was very easy for Baba to walk with this pram in front. So he could put his weight on the pram handle and it would move easily. And we would put a big stone on the top as a sort of counterweight, so it wouldn't topple. So one day Deshmukh was there and he says, "Baba, how fortunate this stone is." Baba stopped in his tracks and says, "What did you say?" "Baba, really this stone is really fortunate that you're pushing it along in the cart." "Is that so? You are jealous of its good luck? Come on, sit in the cart." "Oh Baba, not like that." "No, you sit now." So there was Dr. Deshmukh was made to sit in the cart and Baba pushed him along. And it was quite a sight here.
In this little
baby carriage. Baba's sense of humor was always there. So,
you know, when you would come to see Baba, just at this time, what was like? I'm just trying to get a sense of what the experience was like. How would Baba greet you, or would you embrace Baba, or would it just be so familiar that it would just be just a casual gesture? Or?
Yeah, we would just fold our hands from a distance and enter the room and sit there.
So it's just sort of you're automatically part of the whole show, and there was no big fuss made.
No big fuss.
How often would you be coming at this time?
Whenever Baba called or whenever I had leave from work. So
and you had the permission to come when you were free?
I had permission to be at Guru Prasad. So mostly weekends would be there. So Saturdays, Sundays I could go and see Baba. Except when he would be in seclusion, then it would be different. But mostly he allowed me to be there. Meherji also. Meherji was given the permission to visit him whenever he wanted.
So when would you go? In the morning and stay through the day? Or?
Go in the morning. The main thing was that I had to get to the market first early in the morning, because the food for Baba and the Mandali would go from Bindra house. So the early morning would be marketing, getting all the stuff from the market, and then after that wash up and go and be with Baba.
What would a day in the life of Baba be like? Like how much time would he spend? You would be there with the men mandali, right? So would he like be with the women and then come over at like 9 o'clock or something like that?
Usually when I would be there, Baba would already be in the mandali hall. Usually he would come in the hall, say by about 8:30, or sometimes even earlier. Then in those days, the first thing would be correspondence. So Erach would be reading the English, and Bhav would be reading out Hindi correspondence. Sometimes when Balnatu was there, he would also be there, so I think he would handle the Marathi part of it. Then reading of the newspaper would be there. And after that, if there was time, Baba would just chit-chat with us, or then the usual card game, if there was some time still.
Yeah.
So, Meheraj would then leave and attend to the correspondence, and we would be with Baba and have a little fun there, some card game or something.
Who would typically be there in those sessions?
Well, whomsoever Baba would call,
Right.
they would be there. And later on, of course, when he was in Pune, mainly the Pune center people would come. So they had access for a few years. Yeah. So there's Madhusudan and Kadekar and so many others were there. Yeah. K.K. Ramakrishna, and there were quite a few. So.
Sounds like it was a lot of fun.
Oh yes. Sometimes in the card games you would have as many as 20 to 30 people at a time.
One card each.
So there would be 2 packs of cards, with 1 pack full and the other with the lower denominations to be dealt out. So you'd get 2 cards each, and then would have to play this game of Laris. And there would be more shouting and chaos and confusion, all in the game. But very enjoyable as long as Baba was there. So the side that won would make the other side rub their noses. So Baba says both the sides are winning, because one side has won the card game and the other side wins by getting the privilege of rubbing their noses at Baba's feet. And those people are more fortunate. At the end of the day, most of us would be having shiny noses, rubbing on the carpet.
How long would a game of Laris take with only 2 cards each? I mean, it must have been just a matter of a few minutes, a minute.
No, there would be so many cards would have to be thrown. They would be seen there.
I see.
It took about 4 or 5 minutes for the game to end.
Yeah.
But with lesser number, of course, it would be more. Sometimes it would be just about 5 or 6 of us. Yeah, once there was, I remember, very few of us. There was Dadi and Vishnu Master was there. And myself, Kekobad Dastur, I think, was there. So we were playing this game of Laris. And Baba, and still we were quite noisy. Or I think it was Silence Day, one of the two. So Baba says no, it was not Silence Day. We were noisy, and Baba says from now, everybody should observe silence while playing the game. So in silence we started to play the game. So something unique, And with the cards were dealt out, and so we were fooling Dadi, We were in the opposite side, but Dadi got so confused. So we would tell him, you bid on this. We would make signs, This would be diamond, this would be heart. This was sign for clubs.
I see.
No, for spades, I'm sorry. This was for spades. And clubs would be this. Baba's signs for the different colors, This for diamonds, this for heart, this for spade, and this for clubs. So we would make signs and tell Dadi to go bid for this. And Vishnu is restraining him. Don't listen to them, they are the opposite camp. I'm telling you, don't bid like this. And Dadi is doing this and he's bidding according to what we are telling him.
Oh, so you...
He's all confused where to look and what, and we are all clamoring upon him. So Vishnu got so annoyed that he started to beat his chest. Oh, this fellow is not listening. What should I do? And he got so worked up that Baba really was enjoying the situation. And he says, if I carry on more, their stomachs would burst. So now he starts speaking. And then there was a big sound again. So that is how we would have fun with Baba.
I don't know if anyone has I've never heard how the rules of the game of the Risk are played.
We had to bid for the number of tricks we would make.
Right.
And then if we could make those number of tricks, then we would get points. But eventually it went to that thing that everybody would say la risk. La risk means that you have to bid for all the tricks. So you had to take all the tricks, even if one trick was taken by the opposite side, then you lost the game.
So if you were playing with 2 cards each, there would just be 2 glorious tricks, as it were.
Yeah. So we would just have to say blindly la risk, and hoping that the ace of the trump, and have to declare the trump also.
So it would be like, if there are 5 cards each, 5 hearts.
La risk means all the tricks.
I see.
And then what is the trump? Then you would have to say heart or diamond or club or whatever.
I see.
And then that would be the trumps.
Yeah.
So if our people had the ace of those trumps and the joker, then we got through. Joker was superseding the ace also.
Even the ace.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So many times Baba would say, who's got the joker?
Yeah.
So, bring it here. And Baba would fling his card to the man. That would be at the end of the game, because Baba would be having the joker,
Right. I see. Yeah. So there was one joker in the whole deck.
Yeah, on the whole deck.
I see. That could even beat the ace.
Yeah. So it was on top of the ace.
I think that's similar to the low risk game that we play at the Pilgrim Center still.
Yeah, it's the usual low-risk game. Yeah, with the ace, king, queen, jack in descending order of merit, and the joker is the top card. Joker could also be the top card of another deck. I mean, another color. Supposing you had the lower color of, say, spades, and the other people are now getting through with their color of with spades, and you didn't have the ace. So you could play the joker as the ace of that color.
I see.
And not allow the trick to pass by.
I see.
You get what I mean?
Yeah. So the joker,
because you couldn't trump trump
the spade.
The spade if you had the spade.
Right. So you could play it as though it were the highest spade.
Yeah, of the highest spade.
Even beating the ace.
Yeah. But if another person trumped it with a lower thing, then that joker is gone also.
I see. I see. Yeah. Because you could only trump in.
Yeah.
Use it as a trump. I get it.
Trump or the highest card of the other color.
Right.
Of the other suit.
So every once in a while you could lose.
Oh yeah, so we could lose our bidding, and then the rubbing of the nose would be there.
So everybody would get up from their chairs
and Kumar would be there very often. So Kumar, and then Rustam Sorab would be there. So Rustam Sorab always would sit either side of Baba, and Kumar would be here. So Rustam Sorab were not allowed to play at that time. They were young kids. They would be just there. And then when Kumar lost, then Baba would not rub his nose first. He would sit like that. So Baba would tell these boys, make him rub the nose. So they would get on him, hold his neck and push it in, and he would resist it. So all these little things would be very funny. And they were hefty kids, But Kumar was very strong despite his small stature. So they would make him rub the nose.
So these games would often happen in the morning after the correspondence before lunchtime. Yeah.
Sometimes Baba would say, now we'll have the correspondence later, or no newspaper today, let's have games. Yes, so in Ganeshkind also, as I said, there would be no fans, and we would have to take turns fanning Baba. And as I said, in Guru Prasad, when he would come to this side hall, the first thing he would be ask us to put on the fan, and it would be going full blast. But when he went into his bedroom, then it would be all sealed up, and not a whiff of air or anything would come in. And poor Bhav would have a hell of a time there.
He's told about that, how everything had to be sealed, and sometimes Baba would even say how cold it was.
Yeah, somewhere some breeze is coming or something. And Baba actually once mentioned while the fan was running, he says, see how I've changed. I never liked the fan, but somehow now I'm allowing the fan to be run all through the day after the accident. So then from Ganeshkin, Baba then went back to Meherazad, and I think at Meherazad, what happened?
June, July, this would have been.
June, July. And then
I don't myself remember anything about the year 1957. 58, he did his tours of the West again.
But in 1957, I remember Baba went back and said he had a very deep period of universal work to be performed. And in fact, he called a small meeting at Meherazad of few people from Pune, Bombay, and other people. And he let this out that he was entering a very crucial phase of seclusion, and that it was a very strict phase and very important and critical time. So to each one of us, Baba gave certain orders to repeat the name of God or something he had given, to refrain from any sort of undesirable activities. Baba had laid down some orders for each one of us, which we had to follow.
Were these sent out in circulars, or were these?
No, these were written out by hand by Bhav, and Baba took each one's orders and gave it to us, to each of us in our hand, and says, from your heart follow what I've written here. It's a very critical time. And then I think that was that time that Baba sent Eraj to Meherabad for the first time. And Eraj had to stay there for 40 days. Baba had given him certain orders, and he had to do complete fast on water or something. I don't know whether it was the same year or not. I'm now fuzzy about the dates, but I think probably it was 57. And he was sent to Meherabad. Baba took him to Meherabad in the car, dropped him there, and then came back here. And Baba said that although it would be very difficult for him to be here without Eraj as his companion, because to help him interpret and all that. But despite that, I have certain work which he has to do there, and so I have to leave him there for my work. And after the end of that period, Baba went back in the car with a ceremonious way. He was brought back to Meherazad.
Well, Baba himself brought him there and brought him back.
Yeah. And it was a very important time for his work then. Yeah. So, that is, I think it was 1957. And then I think it was the time when my cousin Meheru, my eldest aunt Shirin, her daughter Meheru was to be married.
Now your aunt on your mother's side?
Mother's side, yeah. So she was to be married with one of Baba's lovers, Baba's disciples. His name was Barjor Mehta. So he's the father of Mehernosh Mehta. Have you met Mehernosh Mehta? Yeah. So his parents were to be married then, and at Akbar Press.
Right. They live here.
They were living here at that time. Barjor was in Bombay at that time. Meheru was staying with her mother there. So Baba gave permission from Bindrao's people to come about 4 days before the marriage. And I don't know when it was, we were called here or something, and Baba gave the instruction. And Roshan also was there. So she was yet not married to Sam, my other cousin. So she says to Baba, we young people, if we go so late, then who is to help our aunt in doing all the preparations for the marriage? And she tried to be a little smart with Baba, And Baba says, that's right. So what do you want to do now? He says, Baba, we should go at least 10 days in advance or something. I said, all right, come 10 days before. Whenever anybody tried to be smart, Baba would allow them to be so. So they came, my sister and others, mother also, to help in the work. But when they arrived there, I think about the very next day, my aunt was down with serious influenza. So much so that she started getting rigors and she had partial facial paralysis also. Then the next one was my sister fell ill. So she couldn't move about. My mother also was knocked down.
Which sister? Manu.
Manu, yeah. Yeah. So for about 5 or 6 days, most of them were in bed and no help to the household. And Roshan didn't get anything. But she had to slog her life out to attend to all these people. She wanted to help, so go and help now. And this was the help she could render.
Right. She got what she asked for.
The thing is that we should learn never to be smart before Baba. And we had to learn it in the difficult way. But everybody had this experience in life. If they tried to act smart, Baba would let them do it, and then they would realize that what Baba had just casually mentioned was the best thing to do. And we learnt it the difficult way, That's why Baba would always insist, whatever I say, just carry out immediately and literally. Don't try to be wise on the whole thing. But on the other hand, he would be so human also that we would feel encouraged to say, Baba, but it would be like this, won't it be better to do this way? And we would get carried away by our own thoughts. And then Baba would let us face the situation,
But it sounds like there was a certain scope for making suggestions.
Yeah, but when Baba would ask us for suggestions, then that was different.
Yeah.
But when he let it be known that do such certain thing, and then we said something, then Baba would let us do it and come to grief. Of course, he saved the situation again in his infinite mercy. But the lesson would be brought home properly. Yeah. So next time we would think twice before we acted smart. So we came for this wedding. The rest of us came, as Baba said, 4 days before, and I was there also. And the wedding passed off. Just before the wedding, then everybody was all right, and it was all nice. Baba sent Chagan Master to help in the cooking, and we were there. Then the wedding passed off well. And then after the wedding was over, before we left, Baba asked the Bindrao's people to visit him at Meherazad. We were here for an hour or 2, and then we left again. Yeah. So that was 1957. And then
which month was that, do you recall?
I think October, November or something. Yeah. But by that time, Baba had let it be known that in early next year he wanted to hold a Savas program with 4 groups, 4 different language groups. Because in the earlier time, it was all combined, and there was a lot of delay while Baba gave out talks. There would be translations in 4 languages for each sentence, and Baba was rather impatient about the whole thing. So he says, let there be 4 different groups, and each language, then it would be just 1 translation.
Just being English,
yeah,
Marathi,
so English, Hindi, Telugu, and I wonder which, Marathi, Gujarati or something like that. Yeah. So there were 4 groups. So in 1958, then this Savas was held, and it was the month of February. This time it was selected so that no rains, for heaven's sake, no rains.
The previous time.
Yeah, so the safe period was February, and it was held then. It was a very nice Savas, and of course I think Balaji gives good description of the Savas in his glimpses, probably.
58, he hasn't published a volume up till 58 yet.
Not yet? What about the 6th volume?
I don't believe it goes that far.
No? Oh.
Still in the mid-50s.
No, I think he has done it. Have you seen his latest volume?
I haven't, no, I've only seen it, but I think it only goes up to like mid-55 or 56, in fact.
Probably, alright. So I think it will be, you'll get all the details there. And so what I remember then was that Baba had to be carried around in the lift chair because of the hip pain being always there, and if he walked then it would aggravate the pain. So there were long distances to be carried. For instance, to carry him up the hill, he wanted to go up the hill, so he was taken up on the lift chair and we would all follow him. And then of course we would be at the top of the hill and had to go and bow down at the crypt, the tomb of Baba, which was not covered at that time. And then there was Baba's birthday, yes, that year. So it fell in our group.
This was the birthday by the Zoroastrian calendar, or his
I think
February 25.
February 25, I think, yeah. By that time, I think Baba had announced that February 25 should be the birthday, not according to Parsi calendar. So, gaily decorated car was brought, an open car with a decorated umbrella at the rear, a sort of canopy, you know. And it was all decked with flowers. And then Baba was brought forward with the help of people, and he was made to sit in the car. And Kaka Baria was sitting beside him. And then the car was made to go around Lower Meherabad and brought to the main pandal where the function was to be held. So at that time Godavari Mai was also called from Sakori. Yeah. So a chair was kept beside Baba's chair, and she was sitting there, and the function was held. And I remember I was helping my cousin Sam. He had come back from this boat at that time. So he had brought this new movie camera. So we were taking Baba's pictures, moving pictures, and I was helping him take these shots. And we've got good footage of Baba. Yeah. The other day he had come here, so I mentioned to him, and he absent-mindedly had lent all this footage to some friend who hasn't returned it yet to him. So I told him to get it back now, and we'll soon see these films here.
Oh, these films is this original footage that he has?
Yeah, original.
Wow.
He gave the original to Erwin Luck, and Erwin Luck has kept it in his repository there.
Right.
Yeah.
So he has a copy.
But he has made a copy and sent to Sam.
I see.
Quite a long footage. Yes, so then we were taking these films of Baba at the time, and he's got some good shots of Baba, good close-ups also.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where was the pandal? Was it Lower Meherabad?
Lower Meherabad, you know where the present staff quarters are?
Yeah.
Where Dadi and Nehru Bilumoria and all, Jimmy's cottage. So those buildings were not there at the time. And I remember it was along that whole strip.